This is a national holiday, and we're celebrating it with you on the field of 68. We started with 362 teams at the beginning of this road, and now we're down to 4. Purdue and NC State will kick off the evening at 6:09 Eastern Time, followed by UConn and Alabama. I'm John Fanta. He's Rob Dauster. He's Jeff Goodman. Welcome to our Final Four pregame coverage live from BetMGM, just outside of State Farm Stadium, where there are thousands awaiting this game. Robert?
Yes, there are. We learned that the hard way.
Yes.
If you're in Phoenix and you have not left yet, just plan on getting there about halftime.
You know what I learned? Don't ever make Rob Dauster the navigator. Do it again. He's done.
That's it.
Lies,
done.
slander.
Well, let's get on to the good stuff.
Let's get on to the good stuff. I want to ask you this. We're starting out a little bit bolder than usual. By the end of this night, give me what you think could be a headline.
Well, I just think it's going to be the headline. The two teams we wanted to play in the national title game will be going against each other in 48 hours.
You think so?
I do. I mean, I hope we get a really good game tonight. I don't think we're going to get two. I will take right now, if you ask me to sign up and say, hey, we get one of these two games that's a game at the under 4, oh, man, I'd be ecstatic right now.
I don't think we're going to get that. I think the headline is going to be the two best teams in college basketball are playing for the national championship. I think the headline is going to be we have two tournaments happening right now in college basketball, the women's game and the men's game, and both of them ended up with the Final Four national title matchup that everybody wanted. Right. Everyone wanted to see Iowa play South Carolina on the women's side. Everybody wants to see Purdue, well, unless there's a lot of people in here wearing red right now, so I should probably be careful what I actually say. But everybody watching this as a neutral observer wants UConn and Purdue.
So then the natural question is, which game has a chance of being a better game tonight?
I go back and forth on that, to be honest. Alabama, in a way, because of how they play, if they get hot from three, certainly, if they make 16, 18, 20 threes, they should be in the game and have an opportunity. But UConn is just such a machine that you feel like, I don't know if they're going to be able to slow them down, right? Then you look at the other one, you're like, okay, Purdue's more vulnerable, but do we really trust NC State against Purdue? Probably not. So it's kind of like, honestly, it's a little bit of a flip of the coin for me.
I feel like I'm going to be talking out of both sides of my mouth when I say this, which is perfectly fine. That's what I do a lot. I think that we're much more likely to see Alabama get a win than NC State get a win, and you're also much more likely to see Alabama get boat raced than we are to see NC State get boat raced.
That's fair.
I don't see NC State losing the game by 25. I think Alabama could very well lose this game by 25. I don't think it's going to happen to NC State.
Alabama averages 90 points per game, and that's the highest scoring offense in the country. But a week ago, we came into Yukon, Illinois, in Boston and said, Illinois' offense is on a roll. Terrence Shannon and Marcus Tomask are going. And what did Dan Hurley do? He said Stephon Castle locked down Terrence Shannon. How could Alabama be different from Illinois?
Again, they're going to have to make shots. Illinois didn't shoot it from deep, right? That wasn't the game plan, and really Brad Underwood never adapted to that game plan when they started going into the paint, and obviously Clint Kong was there waiting for him. Alabama's not going to do that. I mean, they're going to try to get their twos around the basket, but I think Nate Oates said it the other day in the press conference. He was like, listen, they tried that. It didn't work. We get that. We see that blueprint. We're not going to try to follow that. We're not going to try to take it into Donovan Clingan.
The biggest difference is that Illinois always had someone on the floor you didn't have to guard. So that Donovan Clingan can just kind of hang back and stand in the paint. Like, he was guarding Ty Rodgers and was standing in front of the rim. He was guarding him the way that we would guard Jeff Goodman at the three-point line. Yeah. And when Ty Rodgers was out, they did the same thing, but with Quincy Guerrier. So there was always a time where you didn't have to have Donovan Clingan come away from the basket, and you could have that extra level of rim protection. That's not going to be the case for Alabama. It will be if Nick Pringle's on the floor, but you still got the lob right there. I fully expect Alabama to go with lineups where it's Grant Nelson at the 5, or Steven. I keep forgetting his name. Jaron Stevenson.
Yep.
Or have him at the 5.
Jaron Stevenson, who had a great game against Clemson last weekend.
Those guys can shoot it, and they're going to force Donovan Clingan to come away.
I agree with you. But I just worry that the moment might be too big for Jaron Stevenson.
It might be. It might be too big for Grant Nelson. Like it might be too big for all of these guys. It's the Final Four,
and they're all mid-major guys.
And that's the difference right now between UConn and everybody else is that there is nothing that's going to be too big of a moment for UConn.
Even Cam Spencer, who hasn't played in a Final Four, do you think he's really going to be rattled by this?
It's his birthday.
Oh, is it really? 28?
He said he expects Andrea Hurley to make cupcakes. She does it for every single player for UConn on their birthday. Do you think that Andrea brought
made you cupcakes for your birthday?
She is not. I would have loved them.
Yeah.
I love cupcakes, but no, she is not. Let's turn to the first game.
I'm not sure I eat a cupcake before the game. If I was Cam Spencer.
After the
Wait
game.
Till after.
Yeah, he said it's tradition after the game. Yeah. In the first game, DJ Burns versus Zach Edey. Two totally different styles, but two faces of this tournament. How do you expect the matchup to go? And if you're Burns, what would be your approach?
I don't think it's going to go well for DJ.
I
really don't. No, I just don't. I think, listen, he's a media darling now, and obviously with his body type and the way he plays and his nimbleness and his agility, listen, his personality, all of it, I love it. Everybody loves it. This is a kid who's in his 6th year of college. 6th year, okay? But he's never seen anybody like Zach Edey. And I'm not even talking about defensively. I'm talking about offensively. And I know DJ Burns isn't going to be on Zach Edey every play. Right. But there's going to be times when he's going to be switched on and have to guard Zach Edey. That is not going to go well, Rob. Zach Edey is going to eat him up for dinner.
Yeah, I mean, look, for me, I think that this is a difficult matchup for NC State on the offensive end of the floor. I love the under. I think the under in Purdue-NC State might be my favorite play of the day. And the reason I say that is I think NC State can actually do a pretty decent job defending Purdue. They're going to throw some zone at them. They have big athletic guards that can get after you. I think it's going to give Braden Smith a little bit of trouble, right? I think that DJ Burns is big enough where he's not going to get physically overpowered by Zach Edey. They have 3-5 men that they can roll out there. Foul trouble is not going to be a big issue for them because they have enough bodies. So I think that they're going to be able to kind of slow it. I don't see Purdue putting up like 95 points in this game, right? But no. I will say I don't like this matchup at all for NC State on the offensive end because what they do, and I've said this over and over again, what they do, their goal is to find a way to get the ball to DJ Burns in the post, maybe 12, 14 feet away from the basket, and make you make a decision defensively. Are you going to double team him? Are you going to send one guy at him? Are you going to try to play him one-on-one? You don't have to double team DJ Burns if you have Zach Edey.
No, you don't. You don't unless you don't have Zach Edey on the court.
Right.
It's the only time you have to.
Do you think, I know the easy answer is yes, do you think about Purdue's nerves at all?
No, I think they're past that. I think they're past that, and you know, like if you're around this group enough, you realize actually the one thing with this group, kind of even keeled.
Very
much. They don't get too high, they don't get too low, and I think Braden Smith is mentally tough. That kid to me is a rock. So I don't really worry about him, even if he comes out and misses his first couple shots. I don't really worry about Braden Smith.
You've covered a lot of Final Fours. I'll start with you with this question. How big is it that those players have a guy like Matt Painter who this week has shined and shown his composure and maturity?
I think it's big for him since the last year. Like, I think they've found a way. Matt has found a way to kind of play psychiatrist with them, right? And he's talked to a lot of people. He spoke openly about that. So I think instead of trying to hide from it, he's hit it head on. They've all had to talk about it all year. I just think they're past that now. They're past that. After the first round, really the first weekend, I think they're past that, and now it's just another game in terms of, like, we're 2 away from winning this whole thing. We can't let up.
If we get to the under 4 and this is a close game, what has NC State done to get there?
Defended, yeah. I think that they're going to have to – this is going to be a game, if NC State wins, it's going to be like 65-62.
Where DJ Horn and Casey Morsell are just controlling the way the game's played?
Where they slow down Purdue on the offensive end. They keep Zach Edey in check. He ends up with like a – I don't think – you're not going to stop him, right? No. But if you can make him – force him to get his 20 and 14 on like 15 shots and don't put him on the free throw line, then you got to punch his chance. Then it's one of those things where, all right, is DJ Horn hitting those tough jump shots? Right. Is he finding a way to get 15 or 20 points in the second half like he has in past games?
And you got to hope that like Trey Kaufman, Wren, and Mason Gillis aren't also supplying scoring. I think Mohamed Diarra key if NC State's going to be in the game. He has been huge on this run, and he's kind of a matchup nightmare with his length and versatility.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think the biggest thing, like Rob said, is almost like, well, I think they have to slow it down, keep it in the 60s if you can, if you're NC State, right? Cut down the amount of possessions. And really, Fletcher Lawyer and Lance Jones, those are the key for me. You're not going to stop Zach Edey. Can you hold him under 30? And then Braden Smith's going to get his too.
He's going to get his.
It's Lawyer and Jones. If those two are on, forget about it. You got no chance. If those two are off, I think you could play in the 60s. And again, if you're NC State, come down to the under 8, under 4, where you're within 8. Whether you're within 8.
Yeah, and the big thing is going to be, I think that NC State defensively has the bodies that can give Lance Jones and Braden Smith and Fletcher Lawyer. I mean, look, we walked by Braden Smith at the pressers on Thursday, and I was surprised at how short he was. Like, in my mind, I was like, he's 6'1", 6'2".
He's like 5'11".
He's not that.
Yeah.
And he's a little slender. He's not like
no. He's actually built.
He's not.
He's just short.
But the point is, he is going to be guarded by like a Jaden Taylor, who's like 6'4" and athletic, and Casey Morcell, who's 6'3" and athletic.
But you know what? He's had to deal with bigger,
I
more athletic dudes all year for the most part.
That's why I think Purdue wins and Purdue covers. I don't see them having much trouble in this game. But if they do, it's going to be because the length and athleticism of NC State's backcourt is too much for Purdue to handle.
We're live from BetMGM. So
Talk
Purdue,
about flankers, man.
a 9.5-point favorite.
Yeah, great spot.
Terrific.
I mean, packed here. We got fans of all 4 teams in here. You look around and you got. It's just weird. Here's what's weird to see. We're walking up NC State fans.
Yeah.
Isn't it weird?
Good for them.
Oh,
You've had
totally.
an interesting relationship with them
Yeah,
on
they
social
hate me.
media. Why?
Well, it started.
Why not?
With when they ran Herb Sednick out of town. They ran him out of town after he got into the tournament like 5 straight years. And I said, be careful what you wish for. And they were like, no, we're not beating Duke. We're not beating Carolina. We're not going too deep. Well, they got Sidney Lowe. And I think he went 0 for 5. And then they got Mark Gottfried, and he was cheating. So, like, now you got a guy in Kevin Keats that again, they've been a little bit patient with, right? Like, he had a couple bad years there. Then he had a rollover because of the NCAA stuff. And now this year, he's on the hot seat, probably gone 3 weeks ago. Boot Corrigan, their AD, probably makes a move on Kevin Keats if they lose that game in the ACC tournament against Louisville. And instead now, the dude's at the Final Four with 3 more years on his contract.
Hey, this is a great story. Robbie Hummel said this week. He said to a couple people, he was giving serious thought to going to NC State until they got rid of Herb Sednick. Yeah. Herb Sednick was recruiting him.
Right,
and Matt Painter didn't have a guaranteed spot because of Marcus Johnson, who ended up at Tennessee. Yeah. But if Johnson goes to Purdue, Hummel could have been an NC State Wolfpack
he had
player.
A class, man. You don't understand the class that Herb Sednick had put together that was going to go to Raleigh before they fired him. It's like Chris Wright at Georgetown. It was a really, really good class.
Fired him.
And they fired him, and they took steps back. So I'm happy for NC State. They're passionate fans. They're not a huge fan base, but they are passionate. They're kind of like Illinois fans. They're a little bit at a point where they're unrealistic.
Look, the BetMGM Sportsbook right now has a very strong North Carolina State presence right now. There's a lot of red in here. Now, we have John Henson, and we have Randolph Childress, and the NC State fans have not been shy about letting them know that they're here.
Yeah.
They've not been shy, making sure that those 2 ACC legends know that it's not Wake Forest that's here. It's not North Carolina that's here. It's the Wolfpack, baby.
I want to get your opinion because we talk about this on the DTF podcast all the time.
My opinion is the sweet potato tots here are friggin' awesome.
This is a great spot.
Wonder what this sauce is.
At BetMGM, right outside State Farm Stadium. Flankers is awesome. And Goodman and Humble podcast, you can listen to that too on our platforms. But we talk about this on DTF all the time of coaching and perception around coaches. Because I think about it, like 2 years ago, Dan Hurley, there were UConn fans who wanted him out.
Yeah.
At points, Purdue fans have said, Matt Painter, if he can't get it done this tournament, I don't know. Kevin Keats, obviously he could have been without a job 3 weeks ago, and now he's standing here. And when Nate Oates got hired by Alabama, a lot of people thought, why are they doing this? What do you think maybe that says about coaches in college basketball and how we should evaluate?
We talked about this a little bit yesterday. It feels like this stuff is starting to move quicker. Like the carousel stuff is starting to move quicker. One good year at a program, and boom, all of a sudden you're getting a bigger job, right? Like I think Danny Sprinkle's a hell of a coach, but it is wild that he went from Montana State to 1 year at Utah State to the Washington job, a Big Ten head coaching job. It is wild that Steve Lutz, who's a great coach, went from 2 years at Corpus Christi to 1 year at Western Kentucky to Oklahoma State. It's like all of this stuff gets fast-tracked so much, and so much of it is a result of these one-game, single-elimination knockout tournaments. You know what I mean? Like the way that we kind of evaluate what a coach is, it's not what they do over the long portion of the season. It's not the stuff that they like. A regular season title is not the stuff that matters when they're starting to make some of these decisions. It's, can you get to the NCAA tournament as a mid-major? Can you get to the second weekend as an 8 seed? Are you Andy Enfield taking Florida Gulf Coast to the second weekend and parlaying that into the USC job? You know what I mean? Like it's just the way that it's kind of become a microwave too. And I wonder if that has to do with some of the portal stuff, and that has to do with NIL stuff, and that has to do with people leaving. But it feels like all of this stuff is starting to move quicker than it did even 5 years ago.
I also think a lot of these athletic directors have no idea what they're doing. I think that's part of it. They have no idea. They rely on some search firms that ADs don't know. Some of these search firms are really bad at their job. So, you know, I think it's a combination of, yes, it moves quickly. Yes, they take too much in one NCAA tournament. And yes, a lot of these coaches now have these huge buyouts where they're off limits right now. You're not getting TJ Otzelberger. You're not getting Nate Oates right now. Scott Drew is going to sign a new deal at Baylor. If you're happy in your current, like I talked to TJ about this for a long time, and I was like, why did you sign this deal? Like, how dumb are you? He's like, I love my AD. I love Jamie Pollard. I love Iowa State. It's the right spot for me. Could I go to Louisville or something? Yeah, like he could, but why if you're happy with where you're at? Scott Drew's happy where he's at. You don't move when you have an AD you get along with and you're entrenched in an area with fans and you know you've built up enough equity.
Yeah, and the other big thing is I think a lot of guys are realizing that they don't have to jump at the best job, so to speak, to be able to win at the highest level. Like, there's no way anyone would call Baylor a better job than a lot of the other programs in the Big 12. But Scott Drew's never going to leave. He's won a national title there, right? He's won Big 12 championships there. There's Nate Oates is going to be a name that pops up everywhere for a long time.
Every year.
Part of it because of this run, not just because of this run, because he's very good at what he does. But Alabama's a football school. Would he leave? Where would you go? Like, how many jobs are there a legitimately better chance for you to go out and win a national championship right now than Alabama?
Kentucky.
Like, Kentucky's one, but it's a very different lifestyle when you're there. You're going to be in the eye, in the fishbowl, right?
Let me ask you this. What's the latest? Coaching Carousel, what's the latest on Arkansas?
You know, after Chris Beard and Jerome Tang took themselves out of the equation, I think right now Hunter Yurachek, their AD, is trying to figure this thing out. As of this morning, Will Wade, I'm told, was not in the equation. Bucky McMillan, another name that's been thrown out there, not in the equation yet. Now, could it fall a little bit further? We'll see. I think they're going to swing at another big name or two and then try to figure this thing out. But
who?
I mean, I don't know. Does Buzz Williams try to get in there? I don't know. But, again, I could see them right now. They have these two guys that they were kind of fixated on, and now it's trying to reevaluate. Maybe do we slow this thing down a little bit?
I would rather take the upside of Bucky McMillan than Buzz Williams, if I'm being honest.
I'm with you. I mean, you don't have to convince me of that. I think Bucky's a terrific young coach who's honestly done an unbelievable job. But the problem with that is you hire him, and Arkansas fans go, who the hell is that? Where you hire Buzz Williams, and you're going to – depends on an AD. Do you want to win the press conference? Do you really care about it? Like Josh Hurd from Louisville, the AD, got to a point where he's like, I don't really care if I win the press conference. I want to win games. With Buzz Williams, you'll win the press conference, but what has Buzz really done there over the last 5 years since he's been there? He's been okay, mediocre.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I do think that the Nate Oates example, I almost dropped my mic. The Nate Oates example is one,
of course, today.
Is one that I think that a lot of athletic directors should take a long look at, right? Because what did you say when he got hired? No chance this works. What a weird hire.
I didn't say no chance.
They hired the wrong guy. They're going out and getting a guy from Michigan. I
love when he makes up quotes for me. Just makes up
a guy from coached high school in Michigan, that spent 6 years at Buffalo.
And this
He's
is where
never left the Great Lakes region. He's got no chance of winning at Alabama. They're not even going to be able to understand him down there, right?
I did say that.
You did say that.
I did say that.
But not that he had no
you
chance.
You were like, why this hire makes no sense? Why would you make this hire?
But again,
but you
one
got
of the
a guy.
key reasons.
Here's another one.
Can I
Josh,
tell you part of the reason why Nate Oates was successful there?
because
a
he
big
walked
part.
into a good situation.
Correct. He
and
had
was able to get it
talent.
started.
Avery Johnson
I
had
don't
talent. He left them talent.
I don't disagree, but it's also he's a hell of a basketball coach. And you took a bit of a chance on hiring a guy that maybe wasn't the perfect hire and the perfect fit. That was a hell of a basketball coach. So I don't think it's a bad thing to follow that mold. If you say, look, I think Bucky McMillan Buckyball is something that will work at Arkansas. What are they famous for, right? What are they known for?
Yeah, they're 40 minutes of hell. And what does Bucky fit?
40 minutes of hell. Like
Yes.
to me,
Yes.
the synergies there are just too perfect, and it's a situation where if you gave him an opportunity, I think he would have a very good chance of him succeeding. Might also be a bust, but at some point, like, are you just going to hire someone to continue being like a 9 seed and finish 7th in the SEC? Like, is that what you want?
I don't think so.
Swing for the fences, and maybe you get a guy that's going to get you to a Final Four like Nate Oates did. Maybe he's going to go 3-13 in the SEC and end up in last place in 3 years, and you got to do this all over again. But why not? Shoot for the
I
fence.
agree with you. We have about 10 minutes. I'm being told by our producer we are staying live on the air. So would we like to get John Henson and Randolph Childress to check in? Would you like to lead the discussion with them since you're in the middle
Let's
seat?
do it.
You're
Bring 'em
okay with
on.
that?
Yes,
All right.
bring 'em
Jeff's
on.
going to head out.
Well-
RC, Randolph Childress.
While we wait, I'm going to vamp and eat my tater tots.
Go ahead and vamp.
Regular tater
How was the
tots.
drive? Why are you to blame?
Whatever
blame?
you do,
No.
when you guys walk over, because we're going to walk over now, please don't navigate to the stadium with Randolph Childress and John Henson. Let RC handle that, please.
This is not my fault.
Doing to you.
Yeah, how do the NC State fans feel about you? We are still live, by the way, so Henson, don't say anything too crazy yet, because we are still live. So
Purdue first half.
yes, you like Purdue first half?
BetMGM.
Let's talk about that because
BetMGM lock. Purdue.
my favorite play of the day. And tell me if you think this is crazy. My favorite play of the day is the under in Purdue and NC State.
I think under both games. I think Purdue is 3-0 to the under, or something like that. 4-0 or something. NC State's 2-1-1 or whatever, something like that. So
I got the over in Alabama UConn because I think it's going to go like this.
160 points is so many points, and UConn's 4-0 to the under.
Yeah, but here's
Now do your research,
No,
Rob.
I know they are, but here's my thing. I think that's baked into the line as well. Here's my thing. I don't think that Alabama's going to try to get stops. I think what they're going to do is just say, we're going to try to score 150 points. We're going to put Grant Nelson out there at the 5. We're going to space everybody out. We're going to try to trade 3s for 2s and see if we can just put up 110 on them, let them score 105, and we'll still win.
They're going to do that anyway.
Yeah, I know.
So they're still going to play some defense. I think they got to change it up a little bit. I told you. I've been on
Life
record.
is too short to bet the under, Henson. Don't you know this?
What's the what's
It's like
160.5.
That's a lot of points. 82, like that's a lot of points.
We're good.
That's a lot of
I'm
points.
good.
And UConn is what, the number 1 defense?
Yeah, they're up there. They're up there.
I like
Yeah,
the under.
Like the under?
I think Alabama's going to slow. Let me say it. I like the under. I'm just going to say that. Stick with the under. I think they're going to slow
Should we
it
tell
down
the
some.
story about the first time we got you betting on sports? He had no idea what he was doing, Henson.
I still don't get it.
No idea what he was
That's
doing.
good. Don't learn.
He
But
walked
I
over
won.
there. He walked over there and he was standing at the machine and he's gone for like 15 minutes and he comes back and he's got like a 15-leg parlay. He's like, I'm about to win 20 grand right now.
That's how I like to put in a $100 20-leg for 23 million. See if I can retire early again.
All right. Let's talk about NC State and Purdue. You said you liked Purdue first half. Why do you like this matchup? Why do you think Purdue is going to be able to win?
I think this is peak NC State. I think Purdue is ready for it. They're prepared. They're not going to come in disrespectful. They know what they're up against. I think I don't think NC State has enough bodies or size to really affect Edie early on. I can't see it.
I think Purdue wins. I think NC State covers.
Why? Break it down.
I think they cover because they're versatile enough in their defense and they got enough bodies to throw at Zach Edey in a perimeter play to make the guards of Purdue work really, really hard. and I think they're going to slow the pace of the game down enough to keep themselves in it. Purdue doesn't play at this pace, right? So I think that they're going to be allowed to stay in the game, and I think DJ Horn and ball screens and dribble handoffs can. If he gets going, I think we got ourselves a game. But I think State covers, but I do think Purdue wins in the end.
RC just faded me live
Yes,
on
he
air.
did.
Jesus.
Yes,
I
he
did. I'm just telling you.
Yes, he did. I think
I'm nervous.
I think Purdue covers because I don't see how NC State scores. I just don't think they have enough offensively. What they want to do is get the ball in the post and make you send two and make a decision on what you do with Burns. I don't think you got to make a decision. You got Zach Edey. But I also think that they're going to be able to give Purdue some problems defensively. They'll throw that zone at them, right? They got three guys that they could throw at Zach Edey. You don't have to worry about foul trouble with them, right? And you got bigger, athletic guards that I think can climb up in Braden Smith. Braden Smith, when I walked by him, man, I told them this. He's smaller than I thought he was. Like,
he's good, though,
yeah.
man. He's elevated his play, though, Rob. And you're right, physically small.
Yes.
I love, and I've said this all week. I love
compare,
the perimeter play.
compare him to the NC State perimeter guys, and like Casey Morcell can get after you.
That's why I say, as big as Zach Edey is inside, the perimeter play, and the reason NC State is here is because of Jaden Taylor and Casey Morcell and those guys and their size, their physicality, and their ability to guard.
They turn you over. That's what they do. I mean, earlier in the season, they were like top 5 in turnover rate and turnover margin and all those stats. So I don't know where they're at now, but that's what they do. They turn you over the perimeter. And if Brandon Smith is not careful, they definitely could. He could fall into that trap.
Yeah. So what do you do if you're Matt Painter? How do you counteract that? I think we're going to see a lot of the end of the game against Tennessee. They were just running ball screens and Spain ball screens over and over and over again. I think we see a lot of that.
They just do. They do what they do. They don't need to change anything because if you're going to allow Zach Edey to come down and post up, you're going to throw it inside to him. And if you start trying to push him and force him out, then they start doing a dribble handoff that the big has to help on. And then Zach Edey rolls and gets position. So you can't stop Zach Edey. That's why I say he's going to score. I think you got to sit there and continue to go and put your best lineup out.
Take a picture with him. Come on, take a picture with him live on air. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. How much have you been getting hating on from
You know, I was walking through Heritage Park on the other side of this fence, and that's all I was seeing. I was dodging these all day, so yeah, it was a long walk.
All right, let's get into UConn, Alabama. We got about 2 minutes left here. UConn, Alabama. What does Alabama have to do to beat them? If you are if you are Nate Oates right now, what is the game plan that you're making everybody do?
They got to make shots, as we've talked about a lot this week. They've got to make shots. If they can make shots and keep it somewhat close, then you never know what can happen at the end of the game. So I don't know that's going to happen. That's going to necessarily happen. They've been a machine. They've been a train, and I don't know if it changes at least today.
If there's an upset today, it could be this one, and I don't see it happening. I just think UConn has been the best team. Purdue's been the second best team. They've been I think we're primed for that matchup. But if one of these teams had to be upset, they can pull it off. I think Alabama making shots. And if they play zone and slow things down, I think they got a shot. Other than that, they got a puncher's chance. That's all I'm giving them.
I said before that I think that Alabama has a better chance to win than NC State does.
And that's still small.
And Alabama also has a better chance to get beat by 30 than NC State does.
It's a small chance. I mean, it's slowing them down, playing some zone, hoping that UConn continues to struggle from three. And on the other end, making a ton of threes themselves. It's just they got a puncher's chance. You can't go into this game relying on we're going to make 17, 18 threes. It's just not reality.
Yep. Give me your official picks. What do we got?
You want a betting pick or you want who's going to win?
All the above.
All right.
Who do we have in a national championship game and give me your best bet of the day?
I guess I'm going to go UConn Purdue. I took Purdue first half and full game spread. And then, to be honest, if I win my Purdue bet responsibly, by the way, people, I am going to flip that over. I don't know what I'm going to do yet with the UConn game. If I lose, I'm going to watch for fun. So I gotta see the vibe and energy. I need to watch the warm-ups. I need to see how they look.
That's what he does, man. That's what he does. That's what he does.
So
there you go. The most popular guy here is Randolph Childress. Give me your official picks. Who you got?
I got Purdue. I got UConn. And I think NC State covers.
That's your best bet.
my
I
best bet.
have Purdue laying 9.5. I have UConn laying 11.5. I have the UConn NC State over. I have the Purdue UConn Alabama over. Purdue NC State under.
I'm taking Purdue under too.
And if you go into the BetMGM app right now, the Field of 68 parlay boost, you can get it up plus 425. UConn and Purdue.
Field of
parlay.
68 parlay boost. Ooh,
Boom.
you
Plus
guys,
425.
Hey, look,
Jump
every
in
year
there.
it gets better, man. I swear.
Jump in there, Henson.
Hey, look,
We're
I gotta check it out.
I'm about to make all the money back that I spent at Scottsdale last night buying $22 Coronas. Listen, we are getting ready to go to the stadium to watch these games. The Final Four is here. College basketball is here. Field of 68. We'll see you tonight.